my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, May the 9th, and as you may be able to tell if you are a returning viewer, it is a gray, cloudy day outside, and in fact, I woke up to white stuff on the ground. Now, it was lightly snowing yesterday, but it wasn't really sticking. So I was kind of hoping overnight that that's how it would play, but that's not how it played out. So there's white stuff on the ground. It will all be gone by tomorrow. I think the high tomorrow is, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So, it's not like it's going to last. But for today, there is white stuff on the ground. If you are new to my channel, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me, and I hope you enjoy what you see. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me and taking an interest in the things that I'm working on. And we are having the weird lighting. I was watching somebody else and they had made the comment that the camera really struggles when you have something that's vibrantly colored next to something that's white and it doesn't know what to do. So I clearly have a vibrantly colored background. And apparently I'm the white that's causing the camera to go, we don't even know what to do with you. Which is true to life. I worked for a guy who one day, I wasn't feeling particularly great, but he said, even for you, you're looking pale. It was I am not known for my having any color. Anyway. More than you wanted to know about that. This is also Mother's Day here in North America. I know that Mother's Day is not necessarily celebrated on the same weekend in other parts of the world. But I do want to say, I want to acknowledge that for some people, Mother's Day is a great day of celebration for a variety of reasons. I also want to acknowledge that for some people, Mother's Day can be heartbreaking, and sad for a variety of reasons. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all women. If you have children in your life somehow, some way that you are spending time with and having an influence on their life, Happy Mother's Day to you. Because you're spending that time with that child and influencing their lives, hopefully for the positive. I have a friend who likes to tell the story about apparently when I fed her baby Pop, which was not true. It's not factual, but that's how she tells the story. Anyway, with positive, trust me, while it wasn't Pop, the child really enjoyed the thing that I gave her. Like, you could not get that, it was a sippy cup. You could barely pry that thing out of her house. She was so happy with her beverage. But anyway, we will say it was more than water. Anywho, stories from my past. The child is now into the single digit ages and is, none the worse for wear for our little, trip. Side tour. Right. On the other front, I will say, just briefly here, this has been a hard couple of weeks for me. It's straggling on a little bit. So my brief synopsis of that is, over the course of the last 9 days, I have attended 2 family funerals. One in person, one remotely. One at the age of 77 and one at the age of 28. I also found out last night that a friend of mine, that her younger sister has recently passed away. So it's a tough go right now, and that is reflected in the amount of stitching that I have accomplished over the last little bit. It is seriously reflected in the amount of shopping that I have accomplished over the last little bit. So I was very clear I think it was a couple weeks ago, that I said I have fallen off the bandwagon from Stitch from Stash, and these last 10 days have pushed me over the edge. I am definitely doing some retail therapy. It's better than some of the other options that are out there. So it is what it is. If nothing else, you will get to see things Some of them have been ordered online and will be arriving to me at some point. Welcome to, you know, supply chain, blah, blah, something, something. Add to cart, buy. When it shows up, it shows up. Because as we all know, my 2021 stitching plan is already kitted up for them. Kitted up mostly. Yeah. It's like I'm having that was like a couple of pieces of fabric I think actually need to be cut and serged to go into their respective project bags, but the fabric for those are in the house. Anyway, so yeah, all of this is stash acquisitions, just straight up stash acquisitions. So I fell off the bandwagon. I am now adding to the fall off the bandwagon. But there will always come another day where I can start my second attempt at Stitch from Stash. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. There was one question that I got in the comments that I'm going to address when we go through some of the stash acquisitions that I'll be showing you this week. For those of you who played along with my mystery guess the project that I'm working on, thank you for taking time to, you know, guess along with me. I really enjoyed the people who behind the scenes were messaging me with their guesses. My answer is, you don't even need to bother behind the scenes. Just put your straight up guesses. I mean, you can message me on Instagram, although I'm not really good at doing that. But anyway, you can message me behind the scenes, and one of these days I will respond to you. But don't hesitate if you know, whether it's the right guess or the wrong guess, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. That's part of the fun. Or at least that's part of the fun for me. I think for some of you it's part of the fun, and I'm sure that for some of you you're like, this is the craziest thing, and that's all the time you're willing to spend on it, and that's great too. So for those of you who guessed correctly, May is my Mirabilia May, and so I am working on an old pattern, old, called April's Blue Diamond, and you're gonna laugh. Because when I was pulling out my stuff for today, I was having a really hard time putting my hands on the original charts. The working copies are very close to where I stitch, but the originals for both of the things that I've worked on this week were really hard to come by. So I can't explain that. So I've printed out a copy of what this chart looks like. So my new start for the month of May is called April's Blue Diamond by Mirabilia. Again, this chart has a copyright of 1999. I'm pretty sure I have owned it since very shortly after it came out. And it was interesting because I've had people who've commented to me that they have never ever seen this particular chart. As far as I can tell, this is not out of print, so you can still get this. But I will say, even from the Mirabilia Facebook groups that I'm a part of, there are people who have stitched it and have put it into, have put their pictures into the Facebook groups. But this is not one that has been done a lot. Now, it could be that the people who really loved it stitched it, 20 years ago when it came out, which was way before social media existed. So there could be lots of people who have seen this and stitched it, and it's just not on the social media sites because it's not new. But I have lovingly held on to this chart, and this was the year where it was time to start the things, and so this, after owning it for I swear at least 20 years, this has been started. So here's where I got to. Last week you saw my little one-day start, which was a blob of white. You'll be not surprised to see that my report for this week is a bigger blob of white. So I am doing this on 32 count Picture This Plus Aerial. And I also had a question for someone who said, like, they couldn't see it last week. Again, let's small blob, blah, blah, blah. Whether or not there were spaces in the white for where beads would go. And the answer is yes. So it's you can see that more readily on this one. Again, there's spaces in there. Every one of those blank spots is a bead. So I have made it all the way up to the top of the white from her skirt. And you can see from where these are, that's essentially where you get into, so I'm just at the top of here. So I've managed to stitch all of this glorious white, and I'm getting now down into here. So my plan, not surprisingly, is to work my way down and then focus on this bottom part before I work my way up. And in case you were wondering, this is really hard to tell in this picture. So there's this trail of things. This is all beads and Krynic. And this is all beads and Mill Hill treasures. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah, progress on that. You know, happy with the progress that I've made on this week. So I think this is a great start for me. Again, it was a little bit of an interesting, it's been a bit of an interesting time here. So there's that one. I have also worked on the Never-Ending Nativity. Yeah, still here. Didn't make nearly as much progress on this week as I had hoped. But, as I always say, progress is progress. And every stitch that goes in is a stitch that didn't exist before. So I have now, as of this moment, I have finished all of the DMC in the wing for this angel. Now, if you've been following along for quite some time and you know the backstory for this particular thing, I did not stitch most of this angel. This is how this came to me. So the interesting thing is I was comparing the color here in the angel's hair is the same symbol that is over here, but that is not the color that was actually stitched in. So even though I finished it, I kind of went, I'm going to wait. I may end up taking, okay, so there's all of about 12 stitches there in that particular color. I may end up taking that out and changing it so that it's actually the same color that was used over here. In my head, I can see why the original stitcher did that, so I may end up copying that on the other side as well. Check back next week. So then there's part of the wing over here which had not been stitched. So all of this white over here was also put in this week. So I call this the week of white. All I did was use white all week. White in the angels, white on the dress. It was white, which was actually totally fine. The funny thing is it's coming from two different sets of floss away bags. So there's a floss away bag that has the 3 skeins of white for April's Blue Diamond, and then there's the floss away bag that sits with this one, which is also white. So, and even then I was still pulling the white from 2 different floss away bags. Anyway, so we are, yeah, so like I said, so all of the DMC is complete over here. So the next step is to start on the Krynic in the wings. There's a little bit more of the pale pink to go into the wing over here. So I think I'm going to finish the DMC period and then focus on putting in the rest of the Krynics, both on this one and that one. We'll see where we get to on that. But there you go. So progress is progress, slow progress, but progress. Again, this was not an uber productive stitching week, but you know, I think I've said this before. We all have various seasons in our lives, and there were other things that I did. All right, so that is all of the stitching for this week. So the topic for this week is let's talk Mirabilia Mania. We're going to do that at the end. So we're going to keep going through some of the regular things. So now we're going to talk from Stitch from Stash, which I've totally blown, but we're still going to, you know, so I've totally blown it. So I've blown it. blown it, and that's okay. So here are some of the Stashquisitions. Some of them, I'm going to start with the ones that is where I first fell off the edge and went, I think I've blown it. And then we're going to do some of the fabric pieces that have come in that are new this week. And that's when I'm going to answer Lena's question. So here are the things. This is where I originally fell off the bandwagon. Okay, so 2 charts. This one is going to take some of you by great surprise. Some of you will go, I don't understand, but that's okay. So here is, so this is from, with Thy Needle and Thread. Sometimes she publishes under the name of Country Stitches, so that's why I had to check. Brenda Gervais. This is Easter Hoopla. Yeah. So yes, some of you will come as, this is a bit of a surprise, and the surprising thing to me is I know exactly what I'm doing with this. I know exactly what I'm doing with this. So that came home. The other chart that came home, I was talking about this and, you know, bit the bullet and brought it home. So this is from Just Nan, Queen's Snowflake. We talked about this before because I have all the other snowflakes and I've stitched all the other snowflakes, and it really just became, if she's going to publish a snowflake, it's going to have to come home and I'm going to have to stitch it. Now, I will say similarly, this is the second pink snowflake that she has done. I, of course, will not be doing it in pink. So even though it came with the beads, the white beads are fine, the gold beads are going to get changed out for silver, and the pink beads are going to have to get changed out as well. But this is, the background fabric is changing. All of the things in here are changing. I've already picked those colors. So I know the fabric I'm doing it on. I've picked the colors for the color conversion on it, so it's more me, less pink. So that came home. I know, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Okay. Here comes another Krynic number 8 braid. This is another green for, remember, I'm trying to solve a problem. I think this is going to end up being the solution. But I now have 4 options. All I have to do is make a decision. I think this is going to end up being the answer, but need to test it out. So that came home. The other, these are Krynic number 860. These came home. So these are the Krynics a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somewhere I was showing the Nora Corbett Holiday Village houses. This is the Krynic that gets used in that. Now, of the houses that I currently have in my stash, this is not enough to do all of the charts. This is enough to get, well, one of the charts alone says you need 2 spools. I think it means that you need more than 1 spool, and then you will have some left on the second one, but I don't know that because I haven't stitched it yet. So if nothing else, this is enough to get me through 1 and a bit. So there's still more of this to come into my possession for those charts. And I think I've, yeah, so anyway, so I will be on the hunt for this again. Krynic is having huge backlog issues and supply chain issues and stuff, and welcome to the current world. They're doing their best, and again, it's not like, you know, I have 2 now in my possession, which means I can start on any one of the 5 charts that I have. You know, what are the chances that I'm going to have any shot at finishing the next one with, anyway, whatever. This is enough to get me going. But again, it's in my head that I need to be on the hunt for, actually I think 3 more spools of these, just to make sure I've got enough to do the 5 that I've got. Because as I've discovered, sometimes Krynic really does sincerely discontinue some of their colors, which is why I'm on the hunt for a replacement for a color. that I'm trying to sort out. So I'm now back in the like, get the stuff when it's available. This one is a number 12 braid, which you just sort of go, I know, for someone who likes to whine and complain about Krynic, welcome all the Krynic that has made it into my stash. Again, this is for a specific project that is in my 5-year plan. So as I'm putting those projects together, you know, working on, so I'm bagging up 2022 and 2023. So that's what I'm working on. Again, this is a Krynic product, and again, I'm just living in the land going, whew, it's going to be a while before these guys catch up. So if I see the things, one, I'm trying to come up with the shopping list for, certainly for 2022, a little bit of 2023, because again, I'm working on things. Again, Picture This Plus, as far as I know, is still running 8 months. So we're in May. So if you needed to have a fabric for a January New Year new start, man, you better start looking for it now and hope that somebody has ordered enough to get you something. Because my story, it would be a bit of a challenge. Through no fault of their own. It's nobody's fault. This is just, this is where we're at. People need to be safe, supply chain issues, safety first, because even if I had the best New Year new start and I couldn't get the fabric, it's not like I don't have anything else to work on. So, anywho. All right. Then what else did I get? Well, I'm just trying to get it by category. Should have done this before, but oh well. Okay, so got a couple of colors of Silken Colors. So this one is Belvedere Gardens. Highly variegated. Some people like that, like me. Some people don't. And this is called Plum Gugin, Gugin. This is for something that's coming up later this year. This one is for something that's coming up in 2022. According to the plans, but plans are plans, and sometimes plans change. So there's that. I also picked up some Weeks Dye Works. These are for projects in 2022. They are Seafoam, Carrot, Purple Majesty, and Scuppernong. I think you'll be able to figure out which is which. Seafoam, Carrot, Purple Majesty, Scuppernong. Okay. From the Gentle Art, Raspberry Parfait, Grape Fizz, and Mistletoe. Again, these are for 2022 projects. Colors that I did not have in my stash. Classic Colorworks, Boatload, Pebble Beach, Pink Champagne, Mistletoe, Grasshopper, whoops, Rose Petal, Spinach, River Rock, and Betty Bluebell. Again, this is for 2022 projects. I also picked up, so this is from Auvers Soie. This is their number 4 metallic braid. I got a spool of this. This is the, whatever year it was that Kringles came out from Little House Needleworks, there was an Auvers Soie metallic in that in that chart, which caught Auvers Soie by surprise. anyway, again, I happened upon a spool of it. Happened to sort of cotton on that there might be a spool of this in-house at my LNS. Traditional Stitches had it. I think they're out now because I think I got the last one. Again, it was a rumbling, blah, 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 and I went, wait a minute. Sorry, do we have this? They did. They have it. Now, again, they can order more. It wasn't necessarily on the list to get, but since I heard about it and they had it and they had another one, I went, I will take that. Thank you very much. So that came home. So this is the metallic for Kringles. It is an interesting one. I will say from the Krynics that I've seen, this is actually a combination of gold and silver. It's really hard to see in the camera, but it is interesting. So liked it. In my head, when I looked at the chart, I just went, you can just use a Krynic Gold something something. There's several versions of Krynic Gold or Petite Treasure Braid, you know, fine, you can just sub in. But now that I've had a chance to see it, I'm glad that I've bought it, because it is different. So like that. So that came home again because I stumbled across it and went, yeah, I'll take one of you. All right. Now we are going to get into, so this is where, so this is fabric, more fabric has come home. And Lena had a question where she said, okay, great. So you said, if you see it, you like it, you buy it, what size of fabric are you buying? And so my answer is, it depends on how much I like it, which doesn't help anybody. So I'll get more specific. So my starting point, so my preferred fabric is a 32 count even weave. Then I will go in either down to a 28, sometimes even down to a 20 for very specific reasons, or I could go up to a 36. 40 is rare for me, but I do have some 40 count Verdal in my stash. So my starting point is, if I see it, I like it, I buy a wide quarter, which for the fabrics I buy means 18 by 27. So for example, when I was kitting up my Just Nan Lady Scarlet's Journey and went to my fabric stash, I had a piece of 28 count pewter Jobelin, which I ended up using for that particular project. It was an 18 by 27 piece, and as I cut that up, it worked out that I had enough to do Lady Scarlet's Journey, which, don't get me wrong, was a longer narrow thing. I also had enough for the Just Nan 4 Wishes, so I cut that piece off of, as I was cutting up that wide quarter, cut the piece for Lady Scarlet's Journey, cut out the piece for Just Nan's 4 Wishes, put that in the bag with the 4 Wishes chart. But then I still had a piece left over, and from that piece I had enough, if you go back and watch, because I think in February when I was showing some of Frida's Fancy Stitching's chart, I got all excited because I was like, wait a minute, I think I have this. So one of her charts, Teardrops, called for pewter Jobelin, and I had enough in that piece left over that was the perfect size to do Teardrops. And even then, I still had another little piece left over. I want to say it was maybe 5 by 5, maybe 6 by 6, which is enough for an ornament, right? So from a wide quarter, I have enough for 4 projects. Now, I will totally acknowledge that of those 4 projects, the benefit is 2 of them were long and skinny. Now, generally, again, a wide quarter, a lot of Mirabilia charts will fit on a wide quarter, not all. So don't count on it. Again, when you're looking at stuff, check your sizes, because there are Mirabilias that will not fit on a wide quarter. I think, for example, Princess Eliana, is an example of a more recent publication that will not. I don't think she will fit on a wide quarter. I think she's too long. But again, a lot of Mirabilias will fit on a wide quarter. So for example, April's Blue Diamond will fit on a wide quarter. I'm trying to think if I cut off any. I think the piece that I started with was a wide quarter, and I don't think I've cut any of it off. I might have to check that. It might be close. But so generally you can get a Mirabilia on that. For example, Hands-On Design, when they have their things like their Tulip House and Let It Snow Bungalow, like that first series of chalk ones that she did that sort of had a house plus a sort of like a sign that went above it. All 4 of those seasons, if you were doing it on 32 count, you could get both of those pieces on a wide quarter. So for me, a wide quarter is my starting point, simply because of the types of charts that I do, the sizes that they tend to be. A wide quarter is my starting point. Nor Corbets, though, a lot of those, again, check your sizes, don't quote me, a lot of them, of the Nora Corbets, they're smaller ones, so those will tend to fit on a wide 1/8, or otherwise known as like 18 by 13 and a half. So again, depending on the size of project you do, depending on the count you're doing, there are a lot of people, if they're working on 40 count, so 40 count linens, so whether it's 40 count Weeks Dye Works, 40 count Zweigart, 40 count Lakeside Linens, 40 count R&R, a lot of people who live in that 40 count land, this is my assumption from what I've been watching on Flosstube, because that's not me, you know, a lot of them buy their pieces in the wide 8s or 18 by 13 and a half, because when you're doing it on 40 count, your size is small enough that the charts that they tend to be working on will fit on that size. So, you know, again, I tend to, you know, my problem is when I see something, I like it, I get it, I start with a wide quarter. If I really like it, it could even be a wide half. So I think I've told the story before. The first year that Fabrics by Stephanie went to the Nashville Needlework Market, I had a chat with Janice at Traditional Stitches, because she was gone, and I said, Fabrics by Stephanie is coming. And so I'd looked at her website, I had some ideas, and I was like, you know, here's some concepts, but I can't make a decision until I see it. Now, fortunately, Janice has known me for a really long time. Janice has watched my shopping habits for a really long time. Janice knows my fabric things pretty well. And so I literally said to her, like, here's kind of what I'm prepared to spend. If you go down there and you see things that you think I will just love, just bring them on back. I trust you, you know, I'll be good for it. Just bring some stuff back. You know what I like. And so she was horrendously good to me that year. She absolutely went there. She came back with stuff. I went to the Nashville Needlework Day at the shop. She'd set them aside for me, because again, I was the one who'd said, this is what I want, this is my budget, blah blah blah. She set them aside for me, and so she hauled them out, and I think she'd brought back several of them, and she brought them in wide halves, or 36 by 27, and I loved them. I had received a $300 gift card, a Visa gift card, and I spent it on fabric from Nashville that year. So Janice was really good. She said, you don't have to take all of it. Like, I brought these big pieces back. So honestly, I think it's because she wanted some for the shop. But she brought them back, and I loved them. So like the fabric for, I think it's Midnight Tryst, that I did my Nora Corbett Fairy Winter Dream on. That was from that one, and I bought the full white half and went, thank you very much. That will be coming to me. She brought them back. They were wide halves. I loved them. I had a $300 Visa gift card burning a hole in my pocket. I bought the fabrics. I have been known to buy up to a yard. So when the 30 count charcoal was being discontinued, again, the fabulous Janice from Traditional Stitches said to me, They're discontinuing charcoal, Judy. Do you want any more? Because like, I've got one last shot at ordering it. Do you want any? And my answer was yes. And in fact, I think I ordered probably 2 yards. It was being discontinued. I was never going to be able to get it again. I needed to load up. Anyway, charcoal has come back. It's slightly different from the version that from the original charcoal, and I talked about that because I've picked up now some of the new. But there's a lot of patterns out there, particularly from Hands-On Design and some of the Stitching with the Housewives, which are a problem for me, and they're all on that background. So again, my starting point is a wide quarter, but it could go up. It could also go down to a wide eighth. Could be anything in between. So I guess my advice is know the type of charts that you tend to buy and the sizing that looks like, and then start with that. Like if you tend to be only do smalls and ornaments because that's the size you like, a wide eighth is probably loads for you. You don't need to go any bigger. For the people, I do know of some people where they tend to buy all of their fabrics in a yard, which I don't know that I feel like I need a yard of everything, but that's me. But do I know of people where you go like, yep, I'll take a yard of Picture This plus Heartland and a yard of Picture This plus Legacy and a yard of, one. I don't know if it's because right now it's really hard to get Picture This plus, or they just sort of go, those are some of my favorite fabrics to stitch on, and I can put 200 different charts onto those particular colors, but that's where they go. So know thyself, know thy charts, know the types of projects that you want, and then go from there. Yeah, my starting point is a wide quarter because I feel like there's a large variety of projects, of charts currently in my stash that could work on a piece of fabric that's 18 by 27. So Lena, I hope that answers your question. Hope that was helpful. If not, ask another one. So with that, what fabrics have come into my stash? So you're going to laugh because for someone who complains about linen, here comes linen. So this is called Sparkle Gray from Zweigart. It has metallic stars and those little, I'm calling them triangles. 32 count Belfast linen from Zweigart, Sparkle Gray. This is an 18 by 27 piece. I just look at this and go, winter night scene. Easy peasy. And it's not like I have none of those in my stash. So I have a couple of concepts of what, hey, Halloween, their Halloween ones could fit on this too. So there's a number of things where in my head I went, ooh, that could work. So again, while 32 count even weave is my preferred, if I like it, again, the Marbeck Nativity is being done on linen. What was the one before that? I was doing that on linen as well. Color is more important to me. Color is most important to me. Then, whether it's linen or even weave, and it's a toss up between that and size. Sometimes I get pushed in certain directions just because of the ending size that I want something to be on, or to be for a variety of reasons. So Sparkle Gray Belfast linen came home. This is it's because I'm looking at the card. This is Icelandic, 32 count Icelandic from Witchelt linen again. So why is this? So this came home because again, so this is those Nora Corbett holiday houses. I want them to be done. It's blowing out here. So it is a very pale gray blue. Even there, you're not going to see it. Just trust me on that. That's maybe a little better. But the called for fabric for those houses is Star Sapphire, which I have. I have some Star Sapphire in my stash, but I want them to be not quite, I wanted something to be more like an ice blue for those particular charts. So again, this is what I've got. So I started with an 18 by 27. Don't kid yourself. So this should be enough, because this is 18 by 27. This should be enough to do at least 2. I think I need to go back and very carefully check. I think 3 is a bit of a stretch, but I'm pretty sure 2 for sure will fit on this. But this is not enough to do all 5. So now that I think I've made my choice, don't be surprised if over the next year and a half you see some more of this coming into my stash, so that I have enough to do all 5 on the same fabric. I don't want to do them as one big gigantic piece or all in a row or anything like that. I do want to do them individually, but I would like them all to be done on the same background. So this is my choice. 18 by 27 was my starter piece. It's not enough to do all 5. I'm fully expecting over the next 18 months that more of this will be making its way into my stash for those. And again, so when I put this into, I'm not necessarily going to store this with the charts just because that bin is pretty full. But when I put this into my X-Stitch app, it will have a note so there's a note section in your fabric, and it will straight up say, this is for Nora Corbett Holiday Village Houses. Just so in case I get tempted, that I already go, no, you've actually already bought this for something specific. Don't get me wrong. If it's still available at the time, I may go, doesn't matter, I can get more of this and I'll use it for something else. But anyway. So there's that one. And then the last piece that came home, again, so all of these are 18 by 27s. We're back to my preferred type of fabric. So this is 32 count Lugana from Zweigart. The color is going to surprise some of you. This is platinum, which for me, okay, it's showing up on camera paler than it is in real life, but for me, this is a pretty brown fabric. This is for, again, so this is for something specific. This is for October 2022. Working on that one. Okay, so certainly for one of you who's been complaining about my lack of Stashquisitions, which, as I said to her at the time, I'm trying to do Stitch from Stash, so like, don't get your hopes up. I've fallen way off the bandwagon. There's going to be Stitch from Stash for quite some time to come, because I've fallen off the bandwagon well, anyway. So those are my Stashquisitions for this week. Totally blown the budget. That's life. We will try Stitch from Stash. There will be a round number 2. Work in progress. Anyway. All right, and with that, let's talk about Mirabilia Mania. So, yes, I am working my new start, and you're gonna laugh. I'm hauling this one out again because I also realized, because I had a hard time last week because I forgot to do my, smile with the thing. So this should end up being the screen capture for this week. There we go. April's Blue Diamond. Thrilled that she's finally started. But this is not monogamous Mania for me. So this is not the only Mirabilia that I will be working on. Now, I will also caveat the saying, I'm calling it Mirabilia Mania. If it's a Nora Corbett, same designer. Again, Mirabilia are the bigger ones, Nora Corbett's are the smaller ones. Same designer. I'm just calling it all Mirabilia for the purposes of my May. And it's my May. So, Mirabilia Mania. My goal is actually, I'm attempting a different version of rotation this month. So, For Lent, my attempt was that I was going to work on more than one project every day, but the Lent piece was going to get 1 hour, and then it was going away. No, at least a minimum of 30 minutes, no more than an hour. And I was very clear at the end of Lent, so I tried it all through Lent. Welcome to 40 days of trying this out, and my answer was, that does not work for me. So hey, tried it out, learned it was not a method that works for me. So I'm trying a different rotation this particular month. So I started off the week where my focus was the first full week of, so I started on May 1st, but then I devoted the first full week of May to stitching on April's Blue Diamond. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I did. Now, starting today, what I am planning on doing is doing, so today I have set up a decision wheel on my iPad. It's called the Tiny Decision. So I have an Apple product. There are decision wheels for both Apple products and Androids. Choose the free one of your choice. So I have picked Tiny Decisions. It is a free app. It's free because it limits the number of decision wheels you can have. If you need a lot of decision wheels, I think you have to get to the paid versions, but my decision wheels are tiny. So I'm doing the free one. And I have put all of my current existing Mirabilia Nora Corbett whips onto that wheel. And so I already spun the wheel for today. So for today and tomorrow, I am working on the whip that was spun. Check back next week and I'll tell you which one that was. And then I will work for 3 days on April's Blue Diamond. And then I will spin the wheel again, and it will tell me which whip I'm working on for the next 2 days. So I'm alternating 3 days on April's Blue Diamond, 2 days on one of my other existing whips. And the decision wheel will tell me which one I'm working on. It's not one of those that, once it's been chosen, it disappears. It is, so I could spin the wheel and it could be Project A, and 3 days from now I could spin the wheel again. It could be Project A again. We'll see what happens. So that's what I'm planning on doing for all of May. So I'm taking May to try another version of a rotation and see if it works for me. Either way, I will end up at May saying that works for me or it doesn't work for me. The funny thing for me is, as I've been watching some people on either Flosstube or I think it's a couple of Flosstubers where they were, same thing, people are talking about, it's like, I've worked on this project and I'm only working in the morning for like half an hour and I'm really enjoying it. And then I go like, oh, I should try that. And I went, you did try that and you didn't enjoy it at all. So stop sitting there in your head saying like, ooh, I should try that, because you're not going to enjoy it because you did try it. So my Mirabilia May is, I have a main project, which out of every 5 days gets 3 days. And then I'm hauling out my other Mirabilia whips and working them on for 2 days at a time. And I think it's just because I feel like I could see progress over the course of 2 days before it goes away and I go back to my main piece. So we're going to try that. So it's, and in between, yes, will I still be working on multiple projects on any given day? Yes, because I'm still working on the Never Ending Nativity. We're getting closer. Again, I've got, anyway, whatever. So Never Ending Nativity is still going to get worked on. It's not away for the month of May, even though it's not a Mirabilia. It's because we need to work on the Never Ending Nativity. But the rest of it is occurring on my Mirabilia pieces. So I'm trying a different rotation. I'm going to try it out, see how it works for me. So I'm throwing in a different rotation type. I'm throwing in a decision wheel. We'll see how we do. Certainly by next week, because it'll be today and Monday, I will work on the whip, back to April's Blue Diamond, and then should be able to do this in my head. So by the end of Saturday, so before I record next week, I will have had 2 spins of the wheel. So 2 different whips and 1 April's Blue Diamond. So we'll see where we are. We'll see how I'm feeling about things. So that's what I'm doing in terms of my rotations. So sticking with my only 1 new start. So that's good. But then to talk about Nora Corbett's Mirabilia, let's talk about Mirabilias, because as we all know, and I've shown in a previous video, it's not like I have a couple of these, I have a lot of these. Hence all those treasures that I had to buy while I was freaking out. Anyway, so I thought that I would just do a quick rumble through some of the ones that I have in my collection. I've tried to group them sort of thematically. Anyway, so this is Garden Prelude. Love it. Anyway, actually I should, if I were really smart, we'd have a quick little look. Krynic rolling on the floor. Let's see. Yeah, so the stitched area on this one is 18 by 12.6 inches. So again, this would fit on a wide quarter. Actually, now that I've done that exercise, we won't do that for all of them. Anyway, this is Crystal Symphony. You can also tell the age of the chart. Might be a little bit harder for you. So this is an older one. This is a newer one. So slight difference in the packaging these days. This is clearly an older one. So this is Winter Queen. So she did seasonal queens, spring, summer, fall, and winter. I think largely all of the queens are now out of print. But check around. I've stumbled across random shops that have some of the out of print Mirabilias. So my big recommendation is if you're looking for one, just do a Google search, because you just never know what you're going to come up. And then keep Google searching, because you just never know what you're going to come up with on any random day. So that's Winter Queen. This one will surprise some of my friends going, so this is Renaissance Mermaid. So I don't tend to do a lot of mermaids. I don't tend to be attracted to the mermaids. The thing for me in this one, it's a little bit of the colors. 2, the face on this one I think is actually one of her best faces. So I don't know that this is necessarily in my 5-year stitching plan, but I really enjoyed the face, which is why it came home. Okay, so I've talked about, so I'm working on April's Blue Diamond. I didn't go check to see if she's actually completed the entire series, so a fairy per month. It's taken her a long time to work her way through it. I am a December birthday. She came out with her December fairy. I looked at it and went, but I don't like that one. Anywho, this may surprise some of you. So this is the September Sapphire Fairy. So I actually really like that one. So this is Maidens of the Seasons 2. I also have Maidens of the Seasons 1. We talked about this before. This is the one I got that Winter Wishes fabric to put her on. So I think I would stitch these individually. And when I come to that point, I will be starting with winter, because I bought the fabric for it. She also has a series, like there's a lot of Mirabilia, sometimes known as, she's the designer who does all the elegant ladies. So I have those 2. So this is Sabrina. This is Roses of Provence. This is The Garden Party. First of all, you shouldn't do it on a gray background, but once you fix the colors in this, I think this will be lovely. This is The Raven Queen. There's a lot of people stitching this one. There's all sorts of color variations on this one. So if you're ever, again, probably just even go to Google, do a search for Mirabilia Raven Queen, and click on the images and see what comes up, because you'll get everything under the sun, or in any of the Mirabilia Facebook groups. This is Portrait of Veronica. Lovely greens in that dress. She also has some Halloween ones. And again, I have a friend who, even when I started getting these ones, was like, "That's so not you," and I'm like, surprisingly, I really like them. So I think I've now got the entire collection, if not all the ones I want. So these are her. So again, we're in the land of Nora Corbett. So this is a smaller chart. So again, the stitched area on 32 count is 7 by 10. So again, if you bought a wide 8th, aka 18 by 13 and a half, it would fit this one. Hence, Mirabilia's are the bigger ones, Nora Corbett's are the smaller ones. And in case you didn't know, generally the 15th of every month is her release date. Now, she surprised everybody because May 1 she released 3 Nora Corbett charts. She's doing an entire series based on the zodiac signs, and those 3 dropped on May 1. So whether or not there's another release coming on May 15th, I don't know, but certainly when May 15th comes and goes, I will be reporting back here on my channel in case you miss it. But generally, she releases, there are new designs that come out every month on the 15th of the month, and she usually alternates. So one month it will be a Mirabilia, so a bigger one, usually followed the following month by 2 Nora Corbetts. Anyway, in case you were wondering. So this one is Xenia. This one is Gwen. That's just a sampling. I have quite a few of them. Just for fun, because we've been talking about the houses. So this is these Holiday Village houses. So this is Mr. Darby's house. I don't think this is the same one that I showed last time. Yeah. Oh, if only I had more stitching time. She has also done a number of, I'm calling them floral fairies. They're a different series and they have different names that go along with them, but I call them the floral fairies. So this is technically from the Pixie Blossoms. This one's Pixie Blossoms. You know, then there's Garden Party and Pixie Couture. Anyway, so this is Geranium. There's another side. One of the things I did accomplish this week unexpectedly was I got flowers for my balcony and a little bit for my yard. More for my balcony than for my yard, because I spend more time on my balcony than in my yard. When everything's lovely in the summer, I might insert some pictures because I love my balcony. I have my flowers and they're not outside. For those of you who are really good gardeners, yes, there's snow on the ground, but mine are safely ensconced in my sunroom. While it's a little chilly in there, it's still warmer than outside. And it's probably a little bit warmer in my garage than in the sunroom, but way less sunlight. So anyway, tomorrow they will all be back and happy. They're looking lovely. I live in an area where you don't, I won't be putting these outside until after the May long weekend. That's when things can safely go outside. So right now they're living in my sunroom, because if not, they are safe and protected and will have access to sunlight before they get shoved out into the harsh and real world. So again, this is Spring Garden Parties series. This is Water Lily. This is the Pixie Couture. So this is Poppy. We've talked about these before. I have all of these. This is from the Christmas Eve Courier set. This particular one is Blitzen. He's not a whip. So I chose him because he's not a whip. And then these ones, I have these, she did a series of charts that are, this one didn't come out of the plastic, sorry about that. We'll do this one. Letters from Nora. She did a whole alphabet series. I call this is the fairies one, Letters from Nora. There are also, she did an entire alphabet series with mermaids. So both of those are out there, and as far as I know, all of the alphabets for both sets are now released. You may look at these and go, sorry, what are we doing with these? And the answer is somebody really brilliant was smart and did conversions for these. So for example, so here's, you can see where I'm going with this. So stitch these together, change these fairies so that they are reds and greens, make them all Christmassy. This one, for the Y, they didn't stitch these areas and they put in peppermint buttons. They just look fantastic. I want to say it's the store that originally did them, I think was called Rocking Horse something. If I can find it, I will put it in a link to it below, but I think it is now defunct. I don't know that the instructions for this are archived anywhere. Again, when you stumble across things you like, download them, because you just never know. They would be lovely. Done on water lily even weave, just in case anybody was wondering. That's my choice. That's probably, I think if you looked at the Rocking Horse one, they did it on something else. Then, of course, sorry, I'm reorganizing things. I don't know that this is going to work out remotely as well as the other one. Oh, terrible. Okay, here we go. N-O. So technically I bought the Q because it is slightly different from the O, and that way they don't look identical. But if you just get rid of the swoopy at the bottom, that's an O. And I'm choosing the Q for this one because it's going to help balance how this one works out. N-O-E-L. Again, all Christmas related. Now, right, so I've seen other people where they've done it for their children's, you know, a child's name, and they just use, you know, one of these letters as the first name, and they just come up with an alphabet for the rest of the name. Some of them, they've done all of the fairies for the entire name. I suppose it depends on how long the name is. You know, again, change a bajillion color conversions on this to usually a child's favorite color. So, you know, and again, it's not, these are not that hard, you know, because you can just sort of decide what your primary color is. You know, generally you're going to want your wings to be white or some pale version of whatever your favorite color is that you're working with. So they're not terribly hard to convert. So again, but for me, these came home because these are Christmas charts, in case anybody was wondering. And with that, welcome to Mirabilia Mania. So I hope you're doing May your way, whatever way that is, whether it's the traditional Mania, if you're doing Stitchsania, if you're doing Maynia Mania, Monogamous Mania, Mermaid Mania. I think I've seen, there's all versions, multiple choice Mania, I think we talked about that one. Like there's 400 versions of Mania going on, which I think is fantastic. Again, do Mania your way. you know, again, I think it's just, you know, set yourself an interesting goal, something you want to do, something that you think you're going to have fun with, and do that. Because that's what I'm doing. After 20 years of languishing in my stash, April's Blue Diamond has been started, and I think she's going to be lovely, lovely whenever it is that I end up wrapping that up. You know, again, do I have any expectation that I'm going to finish April's Blue Diamond in the month of May this year? No. Nope, that's not going to happen. Straight up, not going to happen. And I'm totally fine with that. And again, the rotation that I'm doing means that I am hopefully getting some really decent progress done on April's Blue Diamond, while also getting some progress done on some of my other whips, depending on what the wheel tells me. So yeah, check back next week. We'll find out what, well, okay, I already know what the wheel chose for today, and I'm holding out on you for fun. So check back next week. You can see what the wheel chose for today and tomorrow. But by the time we check back in next week, it will have also chosen what I'm working on for Friday and Saturday. So starting something new this month, that's great. Doing my version of Maynia and working on my whips new rotation. We'll see how we do. Yeah, and with that, I hope everybody has a really great week. I hope you are staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. Do all the things that you need to do to keep. Again, the deaths in my family were none of them were COVID related. So it's not that. Anyway, we won't go back to that topic. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Find some time to do some stitching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.